Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. So, Donald Trump is in the news. Not a surprise. But this time it was for body shaming Chris Christie. As you know, Chris Christie is a big guy. He's overweight. He's obese. He's probably even more morbidly obese. But Trump took a jab at Christie, basically saying, he couldn't be here because he's eating right now. And the crowd started jeering. And apparently somebody in the crowd, I watched the video, I couldn't hear the person, said, hey, don't call him a fat pig, or don't call him that. And Donald Trump said, oh, we wouldn't call him a fat pig. It wouldn't be nice. We're going to be civil. It reminded me of an article I saw, and I'll throw a link to this article in the description. But it was an article about how the British view humor and why they don't like Donald Trump. Just to read a little bit from the article. Plus, we like a laugh. And while Trump may be laughable, he's never once said anything wry, witty, or even faintly amusing. Not once, ever. I don't say that rhetorically. I mean it quite literally. Not once, not ever. And the fact that it's particularly disturbing to the British sensibility. For us, to lack humor is almost inhuman. But with Trump, it's a fact. He doesn't even seem to understand what a joke is. His idea of a joke is a crass comment, an illiterate insult, and a casual act of cruelty. He's a troll, and like all trolls, he's never funny, and he never laughs. He only crows and jeers. That really does sum it up, doesn't it? You never see him laugh. You never see him crack a joke. Nothing witty or wry comes out of him. He just insults people. So, Chris Christie responded, basically saying, "Why don't you come to the debates and say that to my face?" Yeah, I wonder if the Secret Service detail will get between them before Chris Christie lays him out like a 2x4. Pow, one punch, lay him flat out. Okay, so not that I'm advocating violence or anything, but let's read on this, shall we? All sorts of things to cover. No, entertainment purposes only. All right, so Donald Trump. Why did you say that about Chris Christie? I can only imagine that you're a little bit worried that if you went to the debates that he's going to absolutely lay into you. So you want to get the first blow. Okay, so we start off with Donald Trump, the King of Pentacles. Signifier of the reading. What's crossing it? The Star. Oh my. Does Donald think that Chris Christie is a rising star? Now, quick sidebar here to steal Lina's Rodriguez's lines. Trump only attacks people that he's worried about. Otherwise, he just ignores you. So he doesn't even attack DeSantis anymore because DeSantis is so far down in the polls. Trump understands either kill it or ignore it. To do anything else gives it more respect than it deserves. So now he's focusing on Christie because he sees Christie as a threat. Probably not so much that Christie would win the nomination over him, but that Christie is going to humiliate him. So he's going to try and get his jabs in on Christie where he can. So he sees Chris Christie as a rising star against his run for presidency, but because Christie can humiliate him. What's underneath it? Page of Cups. It's a different scenario for Donald because he's used to being the one that humiliates everybody else. So he doesn't quite know what to do with it when he's the stinky fish cup as opposed to the guy insulting the stinky fish cup. See, he's always this guy. He's never this guy. But with Chris Christie, this is Chris Christie and that's Donald Trump. So that's what you got going on here. In the past, Five of Cups. Chris Christie actually did a lot to help Trump's campaign and help Trump through COVID and stuff like that. And when Chris Christie got ill, that's what this is. When Chris Christie got ill, Trump had COVID and knew it and didn't tell anybody. You guys remember that? Well, Chris Christie was one of the people that got sick from Donald Trump's COVID response. And he was, Chris Christie's a big guy. And obesity is one of the core morbidities of COVID. Chris Christie almost died. Chris Christie was livid that Donald Trump would so callously risk Chris Christie's life by not telling him he had COVID. And that was the turning point for Chris Christie. So Christie, that's where this Five of Cups is coming from here. This is Chris Christie getting COVID from Trump, and Trump not giving a damn about Chris Christie. Which, we all could have told you that, but I guess y'all have to learn the lessons the way y'all have to learn them. Current situation is the Six of Pentacles. Again, I think this is kind of the, ignore it or kill it card. Anything else is giving it more respect. In this case, I think Chris Christie, maybe Trump views Chris Christie as one of these two people down here. He's a peasant, and so he's paying him a little bit of attention to insult. He's enough of a threat that it's okay to give him some little insults in there, and going after his body weight and his body shape is the insult he chose to go with. But don't doubt for a second that Chris Christie is the one who's going to reach to some of the MAGA crowd. I want you to think about this for a second. Chris Christie's a big guy. What percentage of the MAGA crowd do you think are as big, if not bigger, than Chris Christie? And he's calling him a fat pig. And now, those people right there who probably, they're depressed enough as it is. And a lot of people eat themselves silly when they're in depression. Now Trump's calling Chris Christie a fat pig, and maybe these folks are even bigger than Chris Christie. So what's he doing? He's de facto calling them fat too. And he's going to make them a little bit ashamed. And he's going to hurt their feelings. So, dumbass there doesn't understand that he's insulting his own base. And again, Chris Christie, if he can peel 3%, 5%, 6% of Trump's supporters off of Trump during the primaries or in the general election, that's all you need. Just a couple percentage off. That's all you need to do. Turn them off to voting for Trump. That's what I mean by peeling them off. Queen of Swords. It was a harsh comment. It was absolutely a harsh comment. It's just one of those, you're fat. Yeah, we all know that. You can look at Chris Christie and he's obese. It doesn't need to be said. But it was just cruel. It was absolutely cruel, and it was unnecessary. And I think that's what's going to impact those voters. And those voters are going to walk away. Emotionally, they're going to walk away from Donald Trump because, they might be next. They might be next. And, maybe instead of going to the polls that day, maybe they just decide to stay home. I don't think Dummy here really understands who his base is and what he just did to insult him. Outcome is the Seven of Wands. Chris Christie was challenging him to go to the debates. I think Trump's going to go to the debates. I really do think Trump is going to go to the debates because, first off, Trump can't help himself. He loves to hear himself talk. It's kind of like me on this channel. I love to hear myself talk too. Except that nobody here can get a word in edgewise because I'm recorded. Ha ha ha. But, no, Trump, he can't, his ego is such that he can't help himself. So he wants to go to the debates. He wants to shine. But he's also worried about Chris Christie because Chris Christie can bring it with the best of them. And Chris Christie's already telegraphed exactly what he's going to do. He's going to hold Trump accountable. So Trump, on one part he's scared to meet up with Chris Christie. And on the other part, his ego totally will be stroked by going to those debates. He's not worried about anybody on those debates other than Chris Christie. So I think Donald Trump will go to the debates. I think his ego's going to win out. And one of his things is he's probably going to want like a mute button for Chris Christie's microphone. That's going to be like one of his demands or something like that. Or, it's just, I'll go on, but Chris Christie's not allowed to be on there. It's going to be something ridiculous like that. And you know what they should do? They just say, sure, not a problem. Chris Christie's uninvited. And they just don't do anything. So when Chris Christie's there, Trump's already committed, and Chris Christie's on stage, and Trump can have a tantrum, but he's going to go on anyways because he can't be shown to be a coward, like Chris Christie said. Say it to my face. Come to the debates. Don't be a coward. Chris Christie's baiting him. He's totally baiting him. Chris Christie can take a jab or two about his weight. He knows. But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. He's just not going to let Trump know it. Okay, what's Chris Christie thinking right now? What's Chris Christie? This card wants to stay on top, so we'll leave it on top. Entertainment purposes only. What's Chris Christie thinking right now? Oh, what a betrayal. That was it's just a blow. And Chris Christie mentioned this. It's like, my weight has nothing to do with my ability to govern. He talked about his time as the governor of New Jersey, and his weight was not an issue. He talked about, was it Hurricane Sandy, and he's working 20-hour days, and his weight wasn't an issue. It's just a low blow. It's just bull crap. You don't... Debate him on his record, not his body size or his looks. Oh, he also commented to Trump, "You're no Adonis yourself." Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Nobody seems to hold Trump accountable for Trump's body shape. Matter of fact, he could probably go further about the lifts in his shoes and the adult diaper he wears and, all this other stuff, his fake spray tan. Trump should not throw stones in glass houses. He's got a lot of stuff that could be retaliated against. Okay, he chained himself to the devil. Chris Christie talked about in an article I was reading recently about how he was very proud of his ability to govern, but he regrets having been involved with the Trump campaign. And a lot of people have thrown at him that he was just being opportunistic. He went against his core values by supporting Trump. But Chris Christie basically said, I took the chain off. I'm not supporting Trump anymore. I think one of the questions was, what if Trump offered you a cabinet post? Would you take it? He said, no, not going, not doing it. I believe him. I believe he's livid at this guy, and there's really nothing Donald Trump could do to undo that because Donald Trump is a jerk. And Chris Christie knows he's a jerk, and Chris Christie is not going to put up with it. So, again, and this betrayal is not only going after his weight, but this is the COVID. This is the COVID card. This is Donald Trump giving him COVID, Donald Trump calling him names, Donald Trump using him and then abusing him and tossing him out, and him unshackling himself from Donald Trump. In the past is the Page of Cups. Here comes that card again. Chris Christie carried the water for Donald Trump, and he held his nose to help Trump along, and to basically probably because he was thinking he can move conservative politics along. But you're chaining yourself to the devil. That's not the way to do it. And that's kind of been a thought of mine for a while, is I get that the conservatives wanted to advance their agenda, but did they have to use Trump as a way to do it? Couldn't they have picked somebody else? I mean, Trump was elected, don't get me wrong, but you could have been able to govern working around the president of the United States. But I guess Trump's ego is such that you have to always assuage his ego. Excuse me. Current situation, 9 of Pentacles. I think Chris Christie's thinking he's in pretty good shape right now. He's comfortable with his political legacy. He's comfortable with his financing of his campaign. And he knows... I don't think Chris Christie is really planning on being the Republican nominee. If it happens, it happens, and that'll be great. But that's not his goal. His goal is to stick it to this guy, however it takes. And he expects that he's going to come out looking fantastic because he's going to come out as strong and sensible and intelligent and witty, whereas Trump is going to be crass and made to look like a fool. So I think he's comfortable with his current positioning here. Overarching energy is the King of Swords. Interesting. That's really interesting. Now, normally, you see the King of Swords come up, you could expect David to be cackling maniacally, right? Here comes Jack Smith. And it could be that there's some Jack Smith energy over this. He knows that Trump's in trouble with Jack Smith, but that's not what this is. Remember what card was in there for that reading with Trump? It was the Queen of Swords, how harsh it is? Well, what's going to be the one card that's going to trump the Queen of Swords? No offense to the ladies out there. It's going to be the King of Swords. Oh, we're going to play that game, are we? Fine. So expect that this man right here who's sitting comfortably, is going to pull out all the stops. You think you were that awesome saying that to me? Oh, buddy, have I got something in store for you. I am going to illuminate you for who you are. And I'm going to enjoy every swipe I take. Every swipe is going to be a killing blow. And there's nothing you can do about it. Outcome, 8 of Swords. I don't think this means that Christie is, feeling trapped. What I do think is that, should he go this way, he's bound to his words at that point. You know what I mean? He can't, once you've gone this route, you can't undo it. You've alienated yourself from the MAGA cult. But I think he's okay with that. Again, I don't think he's expecting to get the Republican nomination. And Trump will probably get it and he won't. But he is not going to be the helpless victim in this case. He's going to come out swinging. And he's going to land blows. And then Trump's going to be the victim on this one. It's not going to be Christie. It's going to be Trump as the victim. What's underneath that all? The Four of Wands. So I've commented that this bottom card usually impacts the signifier. That betrayal and the double card. This is Chris Christie kicking Donald Trump out of his political camp, so to speak. And this is Chris Christie waiting for those debates so he can get back at him and hit him hard. So that's what Chris Christie is thinking right now, which is going to lead to the final question, or final 2 questions. Will Trump go to the debates? And if he does, how's it going to turn out? No, so much for a 15-minute reading, huh? It's going to be more like a 23-minute reading. Okay. Assuming I can shuffle here. On my flight back from Canada, somewhere along the way, I picked up my first cold in 4 years. Don't let people tell you that washing your hands and masking doesn't help, and isolating doesn't help. I haven't had a cold since either early 2019 or late 2018. I don't remember the last time I was sick. But I have a little bit of a head cold. COVID negative, tested yesterday. I've got a PCR test scheduled tomorrow. It did not get worse overnight. So I think it's just a cold as opposed to a flu or COVID-19. But the symptoms I had was a runny nose, a sore throat, and a headache. And the sore throat and headache are very common of this latest strain going through here. So thoughts and prayers and all that. I'll be fine. And if I'm not fine, if I die suddenly, I still have videos up through the rest scheduled for the rest of the week. This one I think goes up is going to go up Friday. Actually, I think this one goes up Saturday. Okay. In case you're ever wondered. I'll be dead, but you'll still get videos. A couple a day. All right. Will Trump show up to the debates? Yeah, he is. How could he not? Everybody's going to love him at the debates. He's emotionally fulfilled. Yes, he owes it to the people. Oh, yes. He's going to get paid. Basically, he's holding out for the money because, of course, he is. And he's negotiating the money because he needs it to fight the lawyer. He needs it to pay the lawyers. He needs it to pay his legal bills. So, yeah, and plus, he wants to go on the debate. He wants to go on the stage because he thinks it'll slow down the Justice Department. Yeah, he looks at things differently. He views the debates as a way to project strength, which will slow these guys down and make him some money along the way. Yeah, I guarantee you Trump will show up for the debates. Absolutely guarantee you that Trump is going to show up. And Chris Christie, again, I was reading an article on Chris Christie. Not that I've got a man crush on Chris Christie now, but I think it was when I was in Canada, I was reading up on him, trying to get a little more information on his campaign and such. And good Lord, where was I going with that? Chris Christie knows that Donald Trump's going to show up. He has to. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. It wasn't that brilliant insight. Okay. So Donald Trump's going to show up for the debates. How are the debates going to go between Chris Christie and Donald Trump? How are the debates going to go? Christie and Donald Trump. Oh, I was going to say, Chris Christie knows that Donald Trump likes to tease. You know, he learned that from The Apprentice. Tune in next week, you know, that type of thing. Will he or won't he? Donald Trump's even used to say that on Twitter. So, yeah, he gets it. Okay, how are the debates going to go? Oh! Get your popcorn out. It's going to be a show. Yes, it is. Welcome home. Welcome to your new GOP party. But remember, this card was underneath that Chris Christie. This card came up in the Chris Christie reading. So, yeah, it's going to be mayhem and must-see TV. Just watching these sharks just go after each other. But it's going to be Chris Christie who's going to be bringing this home. Welcoming home the GOP voters that don't want to be MAGA voters. He's going to give them the opportunity to say, wow, you know what it is? You know what it is? And you folks from the East Coast will really understand this. Trump, you know, he grew up in Queens or something like that. But he doesn't have that East Coast, that blunt, tell it like it is mindset. His followers think he does. But he's just a bully and a coward. Christie, on the other hand, he's got a spine on him. He's going to tell folks the way it is. I was watching something on the Midas Touch. I think Boston Mike, Boston Dave, Boston Steve, something like that. And it was hilarious listening to this guy because he was like, oh, Christ's sakes, this guy again talking about Donald Trump, you know, about Biden having 150,000 boxes. He goes, he's just making numbers up. Why not just say 10 million boxes? You know, why skip the middleman and keep going up slowly? It's that incredible East Coast, tell it like it is, dry insults. That guy's an idiot. You know, it's that thing. Oh my God, this is going to be great. You know, you may not want to watch it because of all the BS you're going to hear, but go for the mayhem. Bring your popcorn. Oh, there's going to be fighting. Oh, there's going to be fighting. I think Trump thinks he's got the advantage because he's leading in the polls, but he's going to be under assault. And don't think that for a second this isn't Chris Christie fighting things off too. Chris Christie, you know, this is kind of like both cards. This is Trump thinking, oh, I've got this. I can handle these guys. But he's got to fight Christie too. And Christie is, yeah, it's going to be fun. And a lot of truth is going to be shared. There's going to be blood spilled. There's going to be blood in the streets. This is going to be must-see TV. And it's, oh God, it's a Wheel of Fortune 2 with the Ace of Swords. That's amazing. This is what this is telling me is this is the stuff the MAGA crowd need to see and hear. They need to see somebody who's tough like Christie telling it like it is, even if they don't want to hear it. They're going to understand, at least some portion will understand, that Chris Christie is not shooting from the hip. He's speaking from the heart, and he's speaking truth, because truth is really obvious when you hear it. And Donald Trump's not going to have a response for it. He's going to have a dismissive thing, but Christie is not going to let go. He's going to keep after him. You know, kind of like the, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, yeah, I do. This is what happened. What's the matter? You don't have a response for that? You know, it's going to be that kind of thing. Like throw it right back in his face. Come on, answer the question. What's your answer? This is what you did. What do you say? And then Trump's going to be like, I don't know. I can't think because my brain just locked because I have 3 brain cells and 2 of them are filled with Adderall for entertainment purposes only. And the last one is focused on having sex with Ivanka. Okay, that was gross. I'm sorry. Bring it back. The lesson to be learned is keeping information tight. Trump is not going to like how this comes out because he thought he had this in the bag, and all of a sudden he's being attacked. Probably being attacked from all sides, but blows get through, and his viewers are seeing it, and all of a sudden he's on the defensive, and he doesn't like it because he wants to be this guy. He wants to be this guy, and he's going to be this guy instead. Out comes the fool. Christie is going to show some people how much of a fool Donald Trump is. Plain and simple. He's going to show folks how much of a fool Donald Trump is. And in some ways, I think this will launch Chris Christie's campaign. He's going to get a boost from it. Again, I don't think it's going to be enough to get him up to the nomination, but it's going to advance him on this. Underneath, we have the Ten of Pentacles. He's going to attack Donald Trump's legacy. But I think it's going to also impact fundraising for both Christie and Trump. Yeah. And this is going to kind of seal Chris Christie's legacy as well. As a fighter, somebody who's not going to take things lying down. Again, I don't see Chris Christie necessarily getting the nomination for this. But at least on this first debate, I think he's just going to absolutely pummel Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not going to know what happened. And I suspect Donald Trump's not going to go to the next debates after that. Maybe he will. We'll see. I'll throw on that one afterwards. But if he feels like he's been humiliated, he's not going to the other ones. Because why would he go through that again? He lost. He knows he's a loser. And he doesn't like being a loser. And he certainly doesn't want people to know that he's a loser. So he just won't show up. That's my prediction. We'll see if it pans out. All right, so this one got a bit longer than I was expecting. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for all the likes and comments and the shares that you do to help the YouTube algorithm. I really do appreciate it. And welcome to any of the new subscribers that have come in over the last few weeks. I hope you're finding these readings insightful. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.